Is the US auto industry bracing for a breakdown? Car imports have crashed by over 70%. Japanese automakers risk losing $17 billion in exports, and German car shipments could drop by nearly 30%. That's not just a trade story, it's a full-on disruption. Ports are quiet, lots are thinning, and foreign automakers are pulling back fast. So what's really happening behind the scenes? In this video, we're unpacking how aggressive US tariffs set off a chain reaction across global auto giants. Are we witnessing the end of affordable foreign-made cars in the US? Hit the like and subscribe for more updates, and let's get into the details. So, the first clear, measured impact of Trump's 25% auto tariffs has arrived. Vehicle imports arriving by sea just dropped sharply. We're talking about a 72.3% drop year over year in the number of cars hitting US ports. In May 2024, nearly 13,000 vehicle containers arrived. This May, just 3,599. That's nearly 9,400 fewer vehicles making it to US shores in a single month. This really isn't a small drop, and it's not just about full cars. Auto parts shipments fell too, though not as dramatically, down about 15%. But there's an interesting wrinkle. Vehicle bodies and cabs actually went up 18%. Likely because manufacturers are now shipping unfinished cars to do final assembly in the US, a tactical workaround to avoid getting crushed by import duties. Descartes Systems, the trade data firm tracking all this, says the tariffs are the only plausible explanation, and they're not hedging. It's almost impossible to reach any other conclusion, says their global trade strategy director. So, what does it all mean? Imports are pausing, automakers are waiting, and consumers? They're staring down a future with fewer options and higher prices. Let's talk about who was actually filling US garages. In 2024, the US imported a staggering 7.7 million vehicles and only exported 2.5 million, ending the year with a massive $158 billion automotive trade deficit. So where are all these cars coming from? Mexico tops the chart, accounting for nearly $50 billion. That's 22.8% of all US car imports. Then comes Japan at $40.76 billion, followed closely by South Korea at $38.02 billion. Canada and Germany round out the top five with $28.4 billion and $25.59 billion, respectively. That means 5 countries alone are responsible for over 80% of US car import value. But here's the nuance. The US does export cars, about $59 billion worth last year, but the scale is nowhere near enough to offset that giant wave of imports. And to make things even messier, many of the cars coming from Canada and Mexico are built with a lot of US-made parts. But that US content isn't fully credited in the official trade deficit numbers. Bottom line, the US car market is heavily reliant on foreign production. So when tariffs hit those countries, especially Japan and South Korea, it's not just about trade politics. It's about shrinking options on the lot and rising sticker prices at home. You'd think trade with neighbors would be smooth sailing. Not anymore. The US slapped a 25% tariff on car imports, even those from Canada and Mexico, despite the USMCA agreement that was supposed to keep North American trade friction-free. Only USMCA-compliant vehicles get the duty-free treatment. Everyone else pays up, and that's happening more than you'd think. Tighter rules of origin under USMCA, like 75% North American content and $16 per hour labor thresholds, have pushed some automakers to skip compliance entirely and just pay the tariff, which used to be 2.5%, but now can hit 25%. That decision is biting back. Imports from Canada are already dropping sharply, with 1.8 million fewer car sales projected in 2025 as prices rise and inventories tighten. The story's the same with Mexico, where tariffs were reduced to 15% for compliant vehicles, but anything outside those rules gets hit hard. Canada's fired back with its own 25% tariffs on non-compliant US vehicles. Brands like Audi are holding back inventory. Fewer cars, longer waits, higher costs. And the big picture? If tariffs persist until 2035, US and Canadian car sales could fall by 7 million units annually, according to telemetry. For the car industry, that's not a slowdown. It's a crisis building up slowly. The numbers tell the story. Japan shipped $40.76 billion in vehicles to the US in 2024, 18.6% of all American car imports. Now, that pipeline's been squeezed hard. The flat 25% tariff imposed by the Trump administration has already triggered what the UN trade agency warns could be a $17 billion loss in Japanese car exports to the US. That's not a forecast, its fallout is already playing out. This seismic policy shift has put enormous pressure on Japanese automakers like Toyota and Honda, who rely heavily on US sales. Combined with similar tariffs on other key suppliers, it's no surprise that US vehicle imports by sea have dropped. Japan's sharp decline is a major piece of that collapse. Instead of fighting for a full repeal, Japan has pivoted to negotiation, offering a phased tariff reduction tied to their manufacturing presence in the US, but so far, no deal. Consumers are already paying the price. Fewer vehicles on lots, sticker prices rising. Industry analysts estimate over $30 billion in added costs in year one alone. That means Japan's export crisis isn't isolated. It's one of the biggest reasons American ports are suddenly a whole lot quieter. Two of America's key auto suppliers, Germany and South Korea, have taken major hits under Trump's 25% tariffs, accelerating the plunge in US car imports. In Germany, Deloitte estimates vehicle and parts exports to the US could fall 29%, wiping out $8.84 billion in sales. Despite having US plants, German automakers like BMW and Mercedes are already running at 70% capacity, leaving little wiggle room to relocate production. South Korea's story is similar. April data shows US-bound car exports plunged 19.6%, dragging overall Korean auto exports down nearly 4%. Government officials point squarely to US tariffs as the main cause, citing falling demand for Korean-made vehicles, especially sedans and EVs. These are not just small issues, they are major hits to how cars move globally. And they're stacking up. As Germany and South Korea back off the US market, the impact is clear. Fewer ships, fewer cars, and a supply chain squeezed from both ends. With car imports down, the US isn't sitting idle. The Trump administration is now scrambling to soften the blow, signing executive orders to ease specific tariffs and signaling flexibility for vehicles that meet USMCA content rules. But this isn't just a patch job. The broader plan is clear: bring manufacturing home. The White House is pushing automakers to boost domestic production, using tariff relief as an incentive for companies that meet American-made thresholds. In parallel, supply chains are being reshuffled, and automakers are quietly raising prices while slowing down new imports. It's not just about protecting local jobs, it's about restructuring the industry. Policy shifts under consideration could make importing even more expensive, with trade rules tilted toward favoring US-built vehicles. The next phase? Expect more reshoring, more negotiation under USMCA, and likely higher sticker prices as the industry adjusts. The age of cheap foreign-built cars flooding US lots may be winding down. In the end, here's a quick overview of the details from today's video. Car imports into the US plummeted by over 70% in just 1 year. Tariffs on countries like Japan, Germany, and South Korea triggered major export pullbacks. Automakers are reshuffling supply chains, reshoring production, and slowing shipments. The US government is tweaking policies, but the market is already shifting beneath our feet. Are we looking at the end of affordable foreign cars in the US? Can US automakers realistically fill the gap left by disappearing imports? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit like and don't forget to subscribe for more updates. See you in the next video.